Alright, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special Geek First review. Just when you think we're at 2017, we pull you back
We always get you.
Even though by the time you listen to this, it's probably 2018. It's
likely.
It's December 31st here, but we did say our goodbyes, but we're back. Just, how does that song go? Oh, we just came back to say goodbye.
What song is that?
It's a classic song.
By who?
My name is Travis Snail.
I am Dylan Musk.
And if you haven't guessed by the title, well, we haven't done any really nicknames of that because there's a weird, strange thing. I don't want to say I'm the Black Travis Snail. That.
I'm gonna say I'm the piercing mirror, Dylan Musk.
Wow.
Because mirrors have the ability to pierce into your soul.
Well, I'll say I'm the Black Hearted Travis Snail because I wasn't supposed to work today and I did, and I'm pretty salty about it. But you know what I'm not salty about? Yeah. We got some new Black Mirror.
We do. It just snuck up on me. I didn't realize it was coming out this weekend. Yeah. And then it was, and I was like, I want to talk about it, so binged it yesterday.
That's another episode. Episode.
A whole episode.
I want to talk about just like they released Bright like a few days before Christmas, then this, which was kind of inconvenient for me. I feel like lately they've not been on the ball for just my not.
I mean, Black Mirror just announced it like a while ago.
I know, right? But December 29th, we're busy. It's about to be New
Year's.
It's
it was the last thing on my mind.
They couldn't have just saved it to like fucking what is next Friday? Like literally, they couldn't have saved it for fucking January 5th. What's happening January 5th? Nothing. Release it. But
like I haven't even finished Stranger Things 2 yet, and I had to bump that just to have to binge this one out. So.
I just like that you keep getting things bumped for Stranger. You keep referring back to it.
Well, I just with every passing day, I'm more and more out of the loop on it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, what's the difference?
Yeah, just wait till season 3. Just skip season 2.
We're not gonna do a second review of it. So.
No. Well, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna review Black Mirror season 4. We'll do classic non-spoiler review. Yeah. I gotta do some quick shout-outs because there's some stuff that's pre-recorded coming up. In January 2nd, we got a spicy cantina conversation. Me and Taylor did a 5. Each of us got to predict 5 things we think are going to happen in episode 9. Kind of a spin on that. Travis told you so. Yeah. So we did like the draft though. So if I predicted something, he could predict the same thing. So it was kind of fun, some back and forth. Taylor, I think, actually made some really good point and sense. I think that's when Taylor does his best when he's talking about Star
Wars. When there's only 2 people, he tends to talk more, and then you really get those good ideas that he has brewing up in there. Mm-hmm. And if you get him when he's not hungry or tired,
that's a no-go.
There's a no-go.
And then our official Geek First episode next week is a 2018 movie preview. So we start all the way from January to next December talking about pretty much the biggest movies. There might be a few.
Everything announced that we know about.
Yeah, there might be a few we skip. Like I think probably something like Ready Player One where we don't have much knowledge on, but we touch upon everything about how excited we are. And then later this week I have some Oscar reviews dropping. I saw Tanya. I saw Call Me by Your Name.
Okay.
And I saw Lady Bird. One of these films I think is super overrated. Maybe I'll have to find out. I'm waiting to fucking watch Shape of Water. Yeah. Nowhere online.
Is it not in Kelowna?
Not in Kelowna at any of the 3 theaters. Wow. So I'm pretty mad. But
I want to see that on TV.
Look out for that on podcast and YouTube. I'll be dropping those. But now what we're dropping is our Black Mirror review. We start with non-spoilers, and then we're going to do something fun after non-spoilers, and we'll get to the spoilers after that. Yep. What do you think non-spoilers of this season of Black Mirror? 6 episodes.
Yeah. Well, so first thing is that it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint which episodes from which seasons. I guess just because they're not related really at all, other than like I don't know, thematically, I guess. Yeah. So I mean, comparing it to previous seasons, I think from what I remember, season 3 I like more, and maybe season 2 as well. And then season 1 only had like 3 episodes, right?
Season 1 and 2 only had 3 episodes.
Oh really?
Last year was the first year it was like Americanized, where Black Mirror not Black Mirror bought Netflix. Yeah. Wow. Netflix bought Black Mirror. They got the IP and they released more. And that's why you can see. It's like, even though there's a lot of British, there's a lot more American actors in it now. Where
there's a real diversity, it seemed like. Yeah. So I quite like this season. I'm pretty much positive on all the episodes. Some of them fall a little bit shorter than the others, but I think overall I still really enjoyed watching all of them. Like, the thing with Black Mirror is every episode, whether or not you kind of... I guess no matter how interesting maybe you are involved in like a certain storyline or characters, there's always like this thing in the back of your mind, okay, like what's going to happen here? Is there going to be some sort of twist? Or how, like, the endings, I think the endings are pretty interesting too, and you never really know when to expect like an ending for a Black Mirror episode. That's the way I look at it, I guess. Yeah. So I had fun watching all these. I have a couple problems, but honestly I enjoyed most of them. I don't think I'll rewatch a few of these episodes, though. I don't think you necessarily need to.
I find that Black Mirror, some episodes are you watch them one and done. And same with some movies you see them, it's like, I never need to see this again.
And especially like this season as well, I think there's a couple of concepts that they've already tackled, like a lot of like memory stuff. Yeah. And we've already kind of done that, and yes, it's different stories, different characters, and even different like technology, but still similar concept, I guess. And I think this season there's like a San Junipero reference, isn't there?
There is. There's a reference to almost every previous episode in one episode.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the spoilers part.
Because that's something that is first time for this show, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think they never...
It's always just like loosely, like you can picture these things for the most part being in the same world.
Yeah, but now technically there's one episode that might kind of confirm that that's a whole, like, this all's happened in the same,
it's all connected.
Earth. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really hit up the IMDb forums like.
No, I didn't need to do that in this one. It's all in the episode. I'm a little nerd. I'm happy because I feel like lots of our our duo reviews lately, I've been the positive one, and you've been more the person to like not bring me down, but have some more butts. I think I'm that way. I think the show was still great. The season was it's still some of the best television out there. It's still a thing where next year when they announce it, I'm gonna get excited because it continues to challenge you. It continues to make you think. It continues it continues to tell stories in a really new, unique way that I think the closest thing to it, and maybe I still think you're not the biggest fan of it, but the only movie I compare this to is Get Out, and I think that's why I like Get Out, because it's this high concept reality, right? Where it's like, this is happening in our world, but not really, but it's a way where it's like, it could happen though, like
it's feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one problem I have with one episode, but we'll get to that. And then the one last thing I wanted to say is I think this season...
Wow, button into my non-spoilers.
Get Bob, Travis. The last thing I was going to say is I think a couple episodes... Well, there's 2 episodes in particular that have like a very different artistic style, which is something that isn't really the case with Black Mirror so far. Like, it's kind of just... For the most part, it's people in a world that's like... maybe 10, 15 years or maybe 20 years in the future from where we are, but yeah.
It's not that big a spoiler. Also, you're referring to the black and white episode,
black and white
What's
episode.
the other episode you're referring to?
The Star Trek one.
Okay,
Just because that's quite a bit different than...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's like VR, and it's
more fantastical and more...
Yeah, it's just more colorful than Black Mirror.
Yeah, it screams more bigger budget because Netflix has. And not in a bad way, it just seems like a few years ago on just like the BBC, they couldn't have done this Star Trek episode.
Right, yeah. That could run into problems.
But yeah, I think it's always entertaining, it's new, it makes you think, and I think that's one of the best things about movies. It's the same thing why at the end of the year or next year when we kind of do our lists of what are some of our favorite movies, that's why I can't say that I entirely hate the movie Mother, because that's a movie where it's like, it's like, I kind of do, but at the same time, it's like, it's a movie that I left, and maybe that's the other thing I get out, where it's like, I left, and it's like, well, I was thinking about stuff after I left, right?
I had a few people over last night, and we were talking about that movie because someone watched it, and I was like, I realized when we were talking about it, I still don't know what I feel about the movie, but I like that there's always interpretations of it, and that people always have a different view.
Yeah,
and apparently it's about environmentalism or something.
Yeah,
which I didn't catch when I was watching it.
Yeah, I think it's Black Mirror works that way where even in some not bad episodes, but in some episodes that I don't like the most, there's still something to think about. I think now where I can go on the negatives is with Black Mirror so far, all of them, I've watched them all. I don't know why I said all of them, I watched them all. But in all the episodes before this season, I felt at least, I don't know how many episodes there are, but every episode, I'd have to really think about it, but every episode takes surprising twists, surprising turns. I don't know where it's going. When it starts, I have to think about, okay, where am I going? What's happening? And I'm really invested. There's 2 episodes in this season that I like, but I don't like them because they're not Black Mirror-ish. And it's not a non-spoiler.
More predictable, or the ending is like too soon, perhaps?
One's very predictable, and then the other one to me is just kind of a really good visual one. And the black and white one, I gotta look at, it's called Metalhead, and it's not a big spoiler. Like, we won't spoil actually story details, but that one for me is just, it's not predictable because there's certain things where you don't know which you'll go this way. I just didn't find myself that intrigued because I find now since Netflix got it, they had this last year. I can't remember what the episode was, but remember it was this episode where it was about war and they made these guys see monsters, but then it turned out they're actually seeing people. But it was really like action heavy. I don't know if this is a mandate, but I feel like since Netflix got them that one last year and this one, it feels like every year now they're like, we need one high octane action, like, because all the episodes are pretty slow.
You can definitely put in a similar category.
Yeah, they're
it's
pretty
a little
slow,
more
methodical.
They're more distant from like our actual world, and they're a lot less relatable, which is probably why people like them less, maybe. Yeah, and I think Metalhead is like looks great visually. Like black and white's always a fun aesthetic, and like wherever they shot, it really complements black and white. Like there's times where minor spoilers. There's a robot just walking on gravel, and because the gravel they picked, it just looks so.
it looks like the definition of high def. Like, you can just see everything, and your eyes are going all over, even though there's no color. And for me, I guess I can say it non-spoiler, but like Crocodile, the episode is the episode with the wealthy lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's episode to me that the second it started, I like when Black Mirror goes, oh, I think this is going to happen, and then I was wrong, and I was wrong again. The second it started 5 minutes in, I was like, oh, this is what's going to happen. And then it just happened. There's one twist that we can talk about that I didn't see coming, but it's more just a fun wink and nod twist. That, to me, was the least Black Mirror episode, because it felt like I didn't understand what the point was, and the other thing was, I understand what the point was, but I felt like I've seen that story told so many times, where with Black Mirror, I've always feel these episodes, they're unique, whether I like them a lot or like them just a little. It's like, okay, it's unique, I see where they're going.
Yeah, I think, well, that episode in particular, it's, like, obviously it's still tackling, like, a type of technology that we aren't at yet as mankind, but it's something that they've also done before in previous episodes, so maybe that's why, I don't know, it feels like you're not seeing this for the first time, even just the technology aspect, because that's always a part of it as well, is like...
That's not my problem with it. I have to wait till spoilers so I get in it, but, and then...
I know what you were talking about,
yeah.
That's,
And then the other thing for me was there's quite a few episodes, I'd say there was more than less of episodes where I felt the ending, like you said, you don't know when it's coming, but I felt last year the ending would... Like, most of the episodes would end in this perfect spot where you'd want more, but you got just enough. I sometimes found a few episodes where I still wanted a little bit more clarification or more and just stop, and I thought, oh, we're cutting to black, then it's gonna like jump a time or go a little bit, and she's like, no, it's over. I was like, oh, like, I found myself wanting more, but not in a way, it's always good to leave people wanting more, but I wanted too much. Like, I always make this example of like a restaurant. You go and eat, if you have a great meal and you're full, like, oh, I want more because I want to come back. This felt like, oh, it was a good meal, but I'm still hungry, you know, and that's where I'm not fully satisfied, and then you go and get some Snickers, and you're putting weight to yourself and calories. Oof, calories.
Oh, calories. I hate calories.
But overall, I thought it was like another really good, great season. The episodes that I really I like. But I will give the edge, I think, to last year a little bit. Okay. As far as San Junipero, I think is still, I'll say it's still day one of the best hours of movie and television ever. And the other episode, too, that I thought was a standout, what is it? I think it's called Nosedive. I can't remember.
That's,
one
yeah,
with Styles Howard the phone.
Nosedive,
yeah, those are two episodes where I like the rest of them, but those two stick out. Where this one, I think there's two that stick out for me of my favorites, but they don't the same way as those episodes. I think I'll go back and revisit. I could revisit these, but not as quickly as those two. So
I think last thing I have to say, non-spoiler, is that once again, really good acting, like throughout the entire time, and like cinematography and all that is. That still feels like Black Mirror.
Some of the best.
I like that a lot of these actors, since I don't watch a lot, I watch more movies than TV shows. I don't know a lot of these more TV actors, and I just don't know a lot of these people in general. So really, I was really impressed by a lot of these people. Yeah.
Now, before we get into our spoilers, we did something because there's only 6, and I thought this could be fun.
I've already through this non-spoiler section realized that I'm very wrong on your prediction.
So what we did is, because there's only 6 episodes, me and Dylan tried to guess what each other's rankings were of the episode from 1 to 6. 1 being the best, right? We're gonna go. So we'll start at the bottom. I'll start. I thought you would have put Metalhead as your least favorite.
False.
Okay, then I went Crocodile.
That is my second. That was my
second one. Okay, so I got 1 point. Black Museum.
You needed to switch Black Museum and Metalhead was the thing.
Really? I'm excited to talk about that. Hang the DJ, third from the top.
Nope.
Really? Nope. Archangel, second?
Yeah, you gotta flip those two.
Oh, and then US Calcer is your favorite.
I did put that as my favorite.
Okay, that one I had a feeling. Hang the DJ, I'm surprised it was. I thought for some reason, because Dylan Mutz always has this thing where if there's something I really love, he'll really like it, but he'd be like, but I didn't like that one actor, so it's 2 slots down. So, okay, so 2 out of 6, not bad. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely wrong, but I put last as Black Museum for you.
Oh, definitely wrong.
Yeah. I don't know why I put USS Callister as the second last.
Yeah, I don't know why you did either.
Maybe I didn't think about that one enough. And then Archangel.
You got that on the spot. 4. Yeah, right in that slot.
Metalhead is 3.
No.
So and Crocodile I put as 2.
Really?
And so the reason for both of those, Metalhead was, I don't know, maybe it's not the best reason, but I was thinking, black and white, you were talking about man, Logan, black and white, just the favorite thing ever, so I thought maybe you'd think it's a cool idea that they did that. And also it's kind of Terminator-y, and you like Terminator.
No, fair. So. I still like the episode. I want to know, that one I'll give you a pass. Why did you put Crocodile so
I put Crocodile because I know you just have that fascination with serial killers, and you are interested in their stories.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the only reason. I mean, that main actress, I thought she was really good, so I thought those two things in combination would maybe pull it up. And then Burn the DJ was spoiled by
Hang the DJ.
Same difference.
That's the sequel.
Hang the DJ, Burn the DJ. But I was spoiled on that one.
I still think you could have guessed it eventually, though.
I don't know why I put USS Callister so low.
Oh, there we go. We got a tie. 2-2. But, okay. Into spoilers now, so if you haven't seen Black Mirror, now would be the time to tune out, or come back later when you have watched it all. So I actually want to talk about Crocodile first.
Sure, okay.
So, the problem was, I agree with you, like the memory stuff we've seen before. My problem was she's going to keep murdering people and keep murdering people. I've seen that in so many TV shows and movies, and to me it's just this thing of like, you know it's not going to end well just because eventually, okay, she kills that entire family. Eventually the cops are going to find them and be like, oh, well, this is his wife, and his wife was looking in this case. Like, she can't kill everyone, and that's why I hate those stories where it's like, if the police weren't involved, the story could have been more interesting, but because she has ties to police, it's like, well, eventually they're going to find out. And this is the thing I was pointing out to Emily as we were watching it. This is, I think, maybe a hindrance of Black Mirror sometimes is the technology is so far advanced in these worlds that it's hard to believe that when they hit that guy on the road or whatnot, there's multiple times where she's killing people, no gloves, no nothing. And for me, it's hard to believe and suspend my disbelief that they have this technology where they can look at your memory, but you using not gloves to kill a man, no, they're not going to figure that out. You know, and that's my problem. It's kind of the same thing I think with horror movies have a problem now. If it's not a ghost, if it's just a killer or a Jason, it's like with the next Halloween when it comes out next year, usually Michael Myers will kill someone and then he'll like creep off. Yeah. With so many security cameras nowadays, like, there's no creeping off for Michael Myers anymore. You know, like, he can't just go away. And that's, I think, the problem I had with that was, one, I didn't find it believable at times because we live in this heightened sense, and two, it's just, I've seen that story done so many times, but I killed someone and someone saw it, and I killed someone and someone saw it, and I gotta keep killing them. It was like, the only thing I really liked was the gerbil twist at the end. Like, that was fun.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but I was like, okay, she killed the kid, like, I get it, like, that's really, she's going to all these deaths, but yeah, I did not, and I was kind of bored, but I still think I like it in the same sense.
Maybe it's because I just haven't seen as many of these movies or TV shows as you that I don't know. I guess I didn't really predict what was going to happen in the episode. I was kind of just watching it, and I guess I didn't really expect that it would just keep escalating and escalating. And I had a feeling that she was going to kill the kid at the end, and they were just not going to show it for obvious reasons. But
poor kid's blind.
I mean, I didn't expect the hamster. That's definitely a big twist on there. But I think one thing I really like about that episode in particular is just like visually. I just really like the whatever that place. I don't know where that was filmed.
Looks stunning.
Yeah. I just really like the backdrop and the landscapes of that episode in general. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't really put two and two together right away. How that reporter or that investigator and her were gonna be related.
Yeah, see that I got too, because saying she sees accents like, oh, this and that. And for a while, I thought it was gonna be some sort of virtual reality thing because, like, okay, so she kills that guy, she sees a car accident, that guy gets hit, so I was like, oh, and then like when she puts on that porn, the porn star's name's like Confession, so I'm like, oh, so there's something going on here, and the way she like killed her former boyfriend, I felt was super cheesy. She is one of the most small petite women I think I've seen on screen, and she powerhouses this guy down and manages to strangle him, and they even add like a neck crack like sound effect when she does it. It's like that's why I was and that's why I guess for me I was like waiting for, okay, there's gonna maybe be a bigger twist and I'm wrong, and when it was, the cops just showed up at the end, I was like, oh, like really disappointed. I think you said it right, like cinematography's great and acting's great, like that's why these things are still good and I still enjoy them, but I was left kind of empty by that, not in the way of like, oh, she killed a kid, just in the way of like, I don't feel
I think there's room for a better idea, or like a better story with the idea of looking at their memories, but their memories aren't perfect, and they just have like little snippets here or there, and getting like an array of people all connected to, I don't know, solve some crime or something. I think there is maybe a more interesting story there.
Yeah. And that's one, I don't know if it needed, I don't think it was like a full hour, but it was probably like 50 minutes, something like that. That's one I thought you could have cut down too.
Sure,
From the point of the story, it wasn't to me that complex. It's just her trying to cover like her own past stuff. That honestly could have been a 30-minute episode. I thought there was a lot. Yeah. Like, I get it, you had to set up the whole memory thing, but we went to like 3 different people to get to play like person to person to person. That could have just happened first.
Yeah, because all of those could have been more related too, because that's, I don't know, maybe it would have been more interesting if they put that crime together, that she had killed that guy without her like killing the reporter, and they just like found it out instead.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that, because I mean it's also like that cheesy, she gets in her car and just like won't start for like no reason.
Just Jason Voorhees with a brick just and pulls her out. And that's, I mean, it's like, why is she super powered? But yeah, I think like, because she interviews like the guy that got hit, the girl that he had like kind of a crush on when he walked by, and then the dentist guy, and then it was her. And I think like, especially with like, they kind of hint that both those two young people, like, oh, she was cute, and he was like, oh, he looked kind, and I was like, I don't know what they were hinting at there. I said they like each other, but like, those were 3 separate interviews. By that point, I understood what she could do with this box.
Yeah.
All you needed was one thing. It's like, I'll compare Blade Runner. Blade Runner, the second Deckard sits down with Rachel, he interviews her, you know what he does as a job, right? Mm-hmm. There's not a scene of him interviewing 3 other replicants to try and figure it out. And that's the thing with this. It's like, I got the point. I think if this was a short episode...
I mean, to be fair, in Blade Runner, there is like another character that gets interviewed, so you know what that process is like. But
fair enough, anyway. But at least that was like a different thing, right? It was towards a different goal. This was just like, oh wait, we know. Like for me, I just like, okay, we know eventually.
Yeah, she's gonna that is your climax at the end of the day, and that is what your main story is. Yeah. So it all leads back to that point.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, Crocodile, and that's why I can say I like it from a technical standpoint, but as an episode overall, I didn't like it because it just felt very less Black Mirror. It felt, and I don't want to crap on people that did it. Just felt like. They're like, hey, we need one more episode. Like, let's just try to get anybody else.
Maybe it would have been more fun if they, like, showed less to us, like, originally, and you're kind of along for the ride, trying to figure out what happened or how this guy died.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think there is room for that to be a better story. And I mean, now that I think about it, I don't know if I really need to rewatch this one at any point, or at least in the near future, obviously. Yeah.
But I did like the hamster guinea pig twist. That was fun. That they could look through his memories. I was like, okay. Cool enough, fair enough. I like that. So,
I wonder what they did to trigger that hamster's memory of that certain moment. Because before they always had this beer bottle, which actually doesn't really make sense for the killer lady. What I can't remember her name to be in the room. Because she couldn't, like, smell what the street was like, I guess.
And I'd have to rewatch it, but they play the same song that was playing, too.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't... When we were in the scenes with her inside the hotel, I didn't recall hearing that song from her perspective.
No, and it wouldn't really make sense for that to be the case.
Yeah, so...
You'd think they put on, like, porn sounds, and that would trigger her memory.
Wow, triggered. Anything else to say on Crocodile? Big mystery there, putting that number 2.
Yeah, well, I went all in. And I lost big time. But.
My obsession with... I would love to see them do something with a serial killer. I want to talk about your least favorite now, Black Museum. Yes. We're going completely weird out of order, but yeah.
Well, first of all, I'll say that I'm willing to be convinced why this is a lot better of an episode than... I still liked it, don't get me wrong. I don't have a negative episode on here. I still liked all of them. Mm-hmm. But I think one thing for me is this episode seemed like they just had like maybe like 3 ideas for some like funny or cool technological thing, and instead of creating like a really cool story around them, they just had like a loose story that kind of had all of them in one place, and I guess it seemed less purposeful, like each of them, and it kind of just seemed like I have some ideas that I think would be cool, like the idea of transferring pain, and the idea of putting someone's mind into your head and then putting it into like a host as well, but it didn't really seem like that cohesive.
Yeah.
And I mean, you think that those things don't really tie into like what your main twist or story is of the main character is, is aware of this or has seen this before, or her mom told her about this situation and she knows exactly what to expect. So that I didn't see that twist coming, and I think
I didn't either.
I don't love that twist, to be honest with you, and I think it's because maybe it would have been interesting if there was some communication between the mom character and the main character at some point.
That would have given away the twist, though, right?
It would have given it away, but I don't know, maybe that could have worked to its benefit, I'm not sure. But I think my main problem with it is it just didn't seem like one cohesive episode. It just seemed like, it almost seemed like in a series where every episode is a different story and different characters, this episode had like maybe 3 stories in it that weren't really tied together. And I still enjoyed them enough.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it falls a bit short for me, is because it seemed like it had a little less care into making it like one cohesive episode, and instead it was just some cool thought experiments.
Yeah.
And I still enjoyed seeing them. Maybe the one with the mom dies and then she goes into the head of the husband. I think maybe they stretched that one a bit too long.
I agree.
They could have cut some time off of it.
Yeah. Because it's a very lackluster ending. What happens? Oh, well, it was outlawed. And we just move along. Like, where they're like, putting it in that. And it's like, I thought it was eventually like she was going to take over his consciousness, or she was maybe there was going to be like a killer bear or something like that. Yeah. It would have been very simple and a little predictable. But to me, I would have took that over literally it just ends with, okay, they're fighting with, because it's like they're in a relationship, she's a bear, they're still fighting, they're not happy about it, but then the guy's like, yeah, and it was outlawed to put a consciousness in
and I think all
immovable objects.
All those characters were kind of a little bit cliche and just sort of annoying, especially the later girlfriend character is just like, wow, that's just like one of the most generic characters of all time. And I guess my last maybe sort of issues, I don't know how I feel about the main guy, like the museum coordinator guy, like the acting from him particularly. I think that was a choice. I understand that it's one of those characters that's supposed to be like kind of annoying, but I just don't know if I thought he was that good. Okay, I feel iffy on him. Yeah, it's not like a failing grade or anything, but
it's a C. I don't know. C.
I just feel that's the episode. I feel obviously I put it at the bottom. I just have the most problems with it. I think as a Black Mirror episode, you could say.
Okay, so I think the reasons why I like it are not going to convince you any otherwise to like it. I think the reason why is obviously I'm a big fan of anthology shows and TV shows. This is an anthology episode inside like an anthology TV show, and to me, one reason why I like it is just a classic. I love anytime. That's why I like the guys, because he's playing this really over the top kind of cheesy character at times. The second this episode started, it felt like Goosebumps. It felt like Afraid of the Dark, of like creepy shop teller, like R.L. Stine telling you the story, and I like that. And that's why it's like, for me, it's just like a personal thing. I like anything. I love Creepshow. I love Trick or Treat. Anthology movies and TV shows are some of my best, and not anthology in the way of Black Mirror. I think it is good, but in the way of it's a bunch of stories like happening at the same time or in this world. I can't remember what the other one is, but they're
a Black Mirror episode?
No, it's a movie. I can't remember what it was, but either way, I think it's Tales from the Dark Side. I could be wrong, but it's this woman, she kidnaps this kid and she's gonna bake him and cook him, but as she's like preparing to bake him and cook him, she tells him all these scary stories and whatnot, or he tells her all these scary stories.
And it goes in like flashbacks?
Yeah, and then like there's a main thing, the same reason why, that's why with the twist at the end I like too, because that's a classic like Goosebumps anthology episode of like
the twist of it's her father?
Yeah.
Or the twist of
the main story eventually having some sort of payoff too, right? It's not just, okay, it's someone telling a bunch of stories. They're telling a bunch of stories, but then eventually that story ends up being a main story as well, right? So I liked that. I like the whole idea. I love that it's like the most fandom Black Mirror episode of all time. Everything that I saw in there was from something from this episode or from previous episodes. So you got the egg from the John Hamm Christmas episode. They talk about San Junipero, and I called that when I was watching them. I'm like, oh, I bet this is how San Junipero starts, because it's about transferring stuff over, right? Like, oh yeah, you did the retiring mind thing, and then you see stuff from like this season. You see that bathtub where the guy was murdered. You see the fly. Yeah.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah. You see the flies from last season with that when the tweet someone to die, and then they come in like the bees, and then they attack you. So every single thing had something to do with an episode. Yeah. So that's another thing where it's fun, and I like Black Museum, Black Mirror. Like, I think for me, it's just like a fun. It feels like it's a fun thriller carnival ride type of episode. I agree with you that I don't think it's like a perfect episode, but I have it at 3 just because I think I had the most fun with it. And the other thing is, maybe I like it as well because I like the ideas of all those 3 stories, but maybe they were writing them or had those ideas, or one was actually based off a short novel, they actually said, a short story. Maybe they went and, hey, we can't make this into a full episode, but we want to touch on these ideas.
That's fair, and I guess I'm wrong that they do tie them all together, really, so...
And I think that's what Crocodile could have done if he was telling that story about her quickly going to murder people. I think that could have worked instead of Crocodile being an entire episode. So that's a good idea. Yeah, that's what I liked. What I didn't was, I felt the story. I liked the ideas of them, but I think they were a little. They could have been more fleshed out. My favorite is the pain management doctor one, with everything about, first he uses it, for actual medicine, then he uses it for pleasure, and then it just becomes this really fucked up, like, he's cutting himself, and then he's, like, killing him. It was so fun. Like, I wanted to be, like, that felt like...
It felt like something out of the Saw movie.
It felt like something in a, like, you would tell around a campfire story. Like, that's what I like anthology stuff. That's what these stories felt like. The consciousness one I liked, I just didn't like the ending of, like I said, it being outlawed. And the other thing was, lots of time I feel like Black Mirror's really smart. This one didn't feel smart because every problem that was arising, I felt... The second they're like, hey, we're going to put this consciousness into your wife's consciousness in your body. I'm like, oh, well, this will be a problem. 10 minutes later, it's going to be a problem in the way I thought, oh, well, eventually she'll want to do this, and I couldn't do this. And it's the same thing with the doll. So it's like, that I found a little predictable, because it's in Black Mirror usually they do stuff where it's like, oh, I didn't think about that, or I'm like they're taking some of our technology and putting a spin on it, and like, oh, that's interesting. Where this was, it just felt like this actually wouldn't be made because you saw all the problems coming a mile away of what's gonna happen when he is dating someone.
I mean, I think about it. And you kind of get that perspective from the museum coordinator guy, that he doesn't really give a shit if these things really are good for people at all, right? He's just doing it to push the field forward, or to learn something, or stepping stones to something like San Junipero, and where we get with other episodes, I guess. And now there's probably some big fantheories there on the timeline. Of
I want to see that now too. And then the third story I liked, but I felt it was very. I liked it because
the father.
Yeah, I did like the twist. Her being the daughter, she's coming to kill him and burn down the museum. I just thought it was pretty basic. I wasn't anything super smart.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my father lives near here. You kind of see it coming too.
Well, not even that. Just the whole story for me of just like, okay, he puts him in this thing and people are shocking him as far as like a fun amusement park ride. And I get that it's kind of like a play on today when people always bring like horror movies or watching like YouTube videos of car accidents and whatnot. Like I get that where people are paying to watch this guy get electrocuted, but I feel like that, not even Black Mirror, just in general, has been touched upon so much.
The other thing that there's like a nitpicky thing, but people would pull that lever and it would just shock him, and then like after 10 seconds the guy would get up and like go turn it. Like, why wasn't it just like on like a 10-second timer? I feel like that's very inconvenient or inefficient to have someone sitting there at all times to make sure it doesn't go over the limit.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that would have helped, and I'll give credit to Emily who's on Netflix and failed, her problem with it was she wanted a bit more of his past, because I don't know if you noticed, in the first two stories they allude to that character. In the first story with the pain management, there's a story about the reporter going missing, and then the next story with the consciousness, it's on the TV in the background.
Oh yeah.
You see, they caught the guy.
Yeah,
they caught the guy that killed her, and then obviously this was the third story. So that's why I love anthology.
Yeah,
episodes.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is more connection through all these, and maybe I need to watch it again.
There is, but the thing is, so they kind of hint in that one that he may or may not be innocent, because they're like, oh, we'll see if they can prove if you did it. I would have liked if it proved that he was innocent, because then I think I would have felt a bit more for him, where they left that question up in the air, or shown his life before with his wife and his daughter, just 5 to 10 minutes even, because if, let's say, he's not innocent, he's just a piece of shit, I'm sorry, like, I don't really care that much. Like, yeah, you shouldn't just be torturing people, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, if he did kill her, it's like, well, karma sucks, like that thing where it's like, oh, if he was, because like I said, she goes and burns down this museum, this and that. What if he was not innocent? I would like the statement of, yeah, he's innocent, let's move along. So someone would care more about him, because once he's a digital guy, he doesn't do much acting. He does acting,
I don't think he says anything. Right?
No, like not character stuff, right? He's just looking around. Like he does great facial acting, but nothing to learn for me to like him.
Of course, yeah.
And I liked the fun stuff of like the keychain and everything like that. Like there's some fun moments in there, but I can't say that I'm surprised that it's lower for the lowest for me, because I can see why. I think this one's just a taste one, but I don't think it's one of their. The reason I like it is because it's a fun episode. I don't think it's one of their smartest episodes.
Yeah. Well, I think another thing that's maybe slightly disappointing for me is the idea of like having someone in your head, and like it's kind of funny that they just make it literally someone in a chair watching. Kind of cheesy, but whatever. I'm fine with it. Yeah. I think there's more to tell with the story like that, and I'm curious if we'll get something like that in the future as well.
Well, that one I felt that story had potential, but it just never took off.
It's just the characters were
too
just annoying and boring, and it was predictable.
And the way she got hit by the car was just kind of coming.
It was I was like, whoa! I did not see it coming at all. Well, that man, dude, he was big cruising. There's people everywhere. There's bikers, and he's just cruising like 100 down the street.
I didn't understand. I really didn't. But yeah, so I want to talk about Metalhead because I feel like we have the least to say about that. Then we'll get on to the more.
Yeah, it's the most simple story.
Yeah, I literally have nothing to say other than what I said at the beginning was it's shot visually. The action is kind of fun, but
it is shot visually. I'll agree.
Or sorry, it visually is stunning. Like the black and white is great.
Is really well done.
But the problem was we never got to learn about that world and what she was really fighting for, and of the people she was fighting for, and her ties to home. Obviously,
well, there's the question there. Do you think there is actually anyone else that she's talking to, or is that just in her head?
I think there is. I don't know if
you never hear from them.
Yeah, but that could just be their lost connection, right? But
could be.
That's the thing where it's like, okay, then maybe skip over to that radio and show, oh, no one's been there the whole time. The only reason I think there is because those other people are with her and they're like, yeah, we got to get back home and this and that. So,
but
like, are they all crazy?
This way, like, if that woman's job, or I guess her goal, was to go to that place and get like a teddy bear for her kid, then why would she not just stay with her kid? Like, what? I wouldn't be surprised if her kid doesn't actually exist, or her kid died, or maybe she never had one in the first place, and she's just going on these adventures because that's what you do in a zombie or a
fair enough, but then I don't feel like she would have killed herself. Because she has a tracker in her, right? And that's why she killed herself. So to me, it's like, well, she could have just went on living. Because my thought was, this has nothing to do with the episode, but if I was in that situation, I hit the tracker, I can't go back home, I was like, I'm not going to kill myself. I'm just going to go out there and fuck up as many robots as I can. I'm going to die no matter what. So my idea was just like, I'm going to be getting on a car, driving one way to get them away from my people. Like, I'm going to go out like a boss. Like, even though, like I will, but then she just killed herself. Like, Like, I don't know, I don't know, there's this episode for me, even though it's not even my least favorite out of the ones, which is Crocodile, I find it the most forgettable, and this one I would never watch again, and I thought it was
in terms of it being like having elements of action adventure, like that part of it is quite dry, and like you don't really need to see it again. And
I don't watch Black Mirror for that, right?
Yeah, like, exactly. I mean, if you like the visual style, cool, you can watch it again for that element, but the story... the story's nothing like too special. Yeah. You mentioned it in the non-spoiler, but the CGI on those robots is like amazing. Yeah. Super well done. And there's no scene where they looked out of place. And I really like that. I like that how she was hiding in the tree and just like killing its battery, and then later when she like throws the paint on its mask, and I don't know, shows that she was thinking through these things.
Yeah, or she's maybe dealt with these before too, because obviously the battery, so they've had some run-ins, right? But that's like, maybe I want more. Maybe it would have been good for me. I get it, what you're saying, but maybe I would have preferred always someone at the other end of the radio and feeling that emotional toll of, oh, there is a family back home and she's trying to get back to him. And then when she says goodbye, and maybe they just can't respond to her, you know? Maybe there's some of their radio they can hear, but they can't respond. I think that's what I was missing, because I just didn't have much emotion to this. I didn't know. Obviously, it's some sort of apocalyptic type of world, but
that's what I was watching it with my roommate, and that's what he said. He's like, I just kind of want more details on like what happened over this world, or who released these robots, and who made them, or did they make themselves?
Like, is this supposed to be a Fallout?
Is this real? Is this a video game? Like, this is a simulation again. Classic Black Mirror. Yeah. I think I had one more point, but do I remember? Okay, yeah. So, what did you think then of the reveal at the end that all those three people were going for in that warehouse was just like these box of
also don't like bears. It. I in my mind I kind of tell myself that they were after more and the teddy bears just happened to be there as well. But if that's the case, then it's like, you guys deserve to die. I'm sorry. And I love my kid, but if we're in an apocalypse and it is me dying to get a teddy bear or me staying, you know, my kid is gonna learn to get over it. I'm sorry. I know I want to give them everything, but at the end of the day, we'll make you a fucking teddy bear. What do you want more, teddy bear or dead parent? Guess what, kid? You got neither. Or you got both. Sorry, you got both. You don't got a teddy bear and dead parent.
Savage, Travis.
You think Bruce Wayne would train a teddy bear for his parents? No, come on. Don't be so selfish. God damn.
I don't know. I think for me that just... To me, that says that maybe she doesn't actually have anyone else, and those people died, or maybe never there, and she just had the story in her head, just to give her purpose to continue going.
I'd like that. If I can spin myself to watch this again, I'll try and watch it with that, and I think I would enjoy it more than just, we literally went out for teddy bears and lost 4 of us, you know?
Yeah, that's just suicide. And that robot was big chilling right behind those teddy bears. I don't know how they knew that they wanted those teddy bears.
They knew it's a hot commodity in the post-apocalypse.
Apparently.
Maybe they were after them not because the kid wanted them, but that's money nowadays.
That's the currency instead of bottle caps or
it's
cash flow. It's just teddy bears.
Hey, you got a spotted teddy bear, you got a black teddy bear, you got a brown one?
You can only carry so many teddy bears. That's not a great idea.
It's tough.
You need a big... I mean, they're not that heavy, so you could just have a big sack like Santa Claus. But...
We're going to make a short film one day where that's the currency. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to figure it out.
And we'll get sued because Black Mirror did it first.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you pick. What do you want to talk about next? You got Hang the DJ, US Callister, or Archangel?
Let's go into Archangel.
Archangel, directed by the Jodie Foster.
Right.
Who this weekend has made some very controversial statements about superhero. Oh yeah, superhero movies are ruining cinema. Oh. They're making people feel like it's a theme park ride. Would you direct one? Yeah, if the material was good. You fucking with the hypocrite.
With the check that's big enough.
Yeah, that's literally. So, putting my bias aside there,
What else has Jodie Foster done?
Directing wise, she did. Oh, there's one with Mel Gibson. I can't remember the name of The Beaver.
Beaver.
Mel Gibson plays this guy.
Canadian film?
Yeah, Canadian adult film. He literally, for therapy, he lives his life with a beaver puppet on his arm, and it's Mel Gibson.
And is that a good movie?
It's alright. Like, I don't think her... I'd have to look at it. I don't think her directing's been the greatest. Obviously, she's big. Like, Silence of the Lambs was big for her. There's been many other things I can't think of. I'm not the biggest Jodie Foster fan. It's just one of those names that you hear. Fact, and you it's like, okay, star, right? She's been around for a long time and a lot of stuff.
Probably a good name to have on Black Mirror, get people interested.
Yeah, exactly. So this episode I really liked. I got two perspectives of it. I love this Black Mirror episode. I love it as far as now I'm a parent, and it puts one of those perspectives on, because I think this is a question that even before I was a parent, your parents have asked yourself and themselves of, I think this episode's just all about boundaries, right? And how much do you give your daughter, your son, how much leash do you give them to walk out? And the same thing, because everybody that's a parent has those questions. I have these questions, and my daughter's only 5 months old, but it's that thing of, okay, when can she watch this movie? When can she start going out at 10? When can I say, oh, you can go out and not have to text me or message me? Like, it is that thing of, okay, how far will you let your child go and at what age? And the idea of the technology is to take that out, right? Well, you can always watch them, you can always know where they are. So yeah, they could go off with little Jimmy for a weekend, but that's fine because you'll have them GPS and you'll know if they're alive, if they're under distress or whatnot. But then you see the reverse where it's, then if you have that technology, are you going to be ruining your child's life by always watching them? That great instance of her telling the guy, like, you need to do this or you're going to jail, and it's like, well, yeah, you could do that, and obviously she figures out, but at that point the daughter has no idea. If she didn't find out, could go her whole life, and it's like, then your parents are really deciding your life for you, because they're going to pick who you could date, what you could do, this and that. So it shows
censoring what you're actually getting to experience in this world.
And I think that's the biggest thing too. There was a big controversy a few months ago of airplanes putting out movies that were kid friendly, right? So something like Scarface, they would take out everything, swearing, nudity, everything, so a child could watch it and be fine. They were doing that with movies like Seth Rogen movies, and it's like, some people have made a big hubbub about it. And I think that's another thing is too with
big hubbub?
Hubbub. I don't know. That's a new thing. Hubbub. And the filter part too, I think, goes into the, there's what I talk about, the child-parent relationship, but then also goes into our culture and what you can censor and what you can, like with Twitter, they can, if you don't change the thing, there's a setting, if you don't change it, they'll actually filter offensive tweets out that you won't see. So, and Facebook does the same thing. So it's another good conversation piece and a good think piece on censorship nowadays, because that's a big hot button issue. Like, you look at, sorry, but who's the president of the United States? He's out there tweeting all this like offensive stuff, but it's like, well, he's the president, so it's like, what, you
censored the president.
Exactly. So I thought it was a really good episode. The ideas, I'll throw it over to you before we talk about maybe some of the characters and whatnot, but I thought the ideas were great, and I think this is another one. I think it does actually stand out. Maybe I didn't give enough credit earlier, but I think the ideas stand out really well, and they haven't really tackled this as far as not too much of, I think, parent and kid stuff. It's more relationship and technology-wise. Not much of the kid factor, you know. So
I really enjoyed this episode as well. I think obviously that's something that kids these days have cell phones like so young. I don't know when I got a cell phone, but it certainly is a lot later than kids seem to have them these days.
Yeah. I got one like 4 years ago.
Okay, maybe
I was 20 when I got it. That's what I mean. Like, I waited a long time to stay away from cell phones.
Right. Yeah. And that's just obviously something that's already happening today, and it's not really a question. I think before long, parents will probably, like, if their kids have cell phones, just have a GPS so that you can know where their kid is at all times.
I think there's a chance in the future, in 50 years, people are born and they get a GPS put in them right away. Yeah. Like, just because I said it,
that could solve a lot of problems.
A lot of crime, a lot of this. Like, if anyone gets murdered, well, you know who did it, right? Like, but then there's that, that morality of like, oh, should people always be being watched?
And how can people abuse that? Because people will.
But I don't think we're gonna have a choice in the future.
Probably not. It'll probably just be all controlled.
Yeah.
Yes, but that idea, obviously, this classic Black Mirror takes it to like a farther level than
the extremes.
It's not like, obviously GPS and kids having phones these days is, I don't know about the GPS thing. Like, obviously not installing one into your head, but there's probably still that already out there, and it's just.
There is, you can buy for kids to like put in their phone or put in something where you'll know where they are at all times.
So like I was saying, Black Mirror just takes it to another level, and the ability to see through the eyes, and then the filter I think is a very interesting idea. And the progression, I think, because you see this kid go through various stages of life, and I think they do that in with really good pacing, and that you feel like this character enough to I guess warrant the story.
Yeah, because it moves fast, but it doesn't feel fast to me. Like, she goes from, I don't know, elementary school, middle school to high school really quickly, but it does feel like you're aging with her in only an episode, like an hour episode.
One episode of a TV show. It's a pretty crazy idea. And it's interesting because they only have one child with this thing implanted in their head. So you really only get to see one perspective, but it still feels like it kind of encapsulates various things that could occur. And
that was the other thing in Black Museum too, was the mom's tablet. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
The tablet gets broken and beat at the end. It is in that Black Museum as well. So you should.
I also watched because Black Museum's not like the last.
The last one, yeah.
I watched them out of order.
Really?
Kind of. I started because it was like 2 a.m. and I was like, I'm tired, but I kind of want to watch an episode of Black Mirror because I want to get a head start. And so I just picked the shortest episode.
You should watch just the first 5 minutes of Black Museum again and look at the museum, and you'll see stuff from this season all in there.
I should. Yeah, I think I watched that one I don't know, I can't remember, second or third, but I don't remember what I was saying, but we can get into the character.
We're talking about the censorship. That was the last thing. Oh no, we're talking about the character kind of growing up with her and whatnot.
Yeah, I like the censorship was an interesting one, and I think the idea of the mom breaking out this thing after all these years. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this episode. I think it was a really fun progression, and it all seemed to make sense, and you understand the character of the mom enough, and they never explicitly state that her father died at any point, but it's just something that works within the show. Yeah. Right? I don't think they mention it.
They don't at all. So
obviously he has health concerns when I think it's in I can't remember what phase of the kid's life, but something like that. But yeah, they don't really state that at any point, but you still it.
With the older guy?
Yeah.
That wasn't her dad. That was her grandpa. Because at one point...
No, I mean, but the mom...
Yeah.
Her dad. It was the mom.
Oh, her dad. Oh, I thought you meant...
It was someone's dad.
I thought you meant the main... the child's dad. Because we never meet him either,
yes,
right?
Yes, exactly.
And he could just be a deadbeat dad.
Or no one knows. No one knows what happened to him. They don't mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they never even mention when that grandfather character dies, and he was there for a decent amount of time. But yeah the episode still... It still works, and it wasn't necessary, so they didn't put it in there, which is fine.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think the episode... The best thing it does, it's kind of why I love villains in a story. You see from their perspective. Because technically, yes, we're the main character's the mom, but I'd still say she's kind of the antagonist in this movie, or in this show. But it makes complete sense of, hey, she one day can't get a hold of her daughter anywhere. Her daughter lied. And of course, that's why she's going to pull this thing up, because she's worried. And then she gets a notification that, she's taking drugs and whatnot. And she sees the type of drugs, and she sees she's with an older boy. Yeah. So of course you're going to keep that around, because that's the thing. People can be like, oh, you got to give her some freedom. But at the same time, it's but the daughter's dipping into hard drugs. That could lead down a road that could kill her and end up to worse stuff. It's not just weed or a cigarette. It's it's literally cocaine. So it makes sense that she would keep following her and ending with this guy who I think that at the end of the day, this guy was probably good for her, because I think he really loved her, the character. It seemed
he seemed like a good dude, as good as he could
just
be.
Making some mistakes, I think, along the way. I think
misguided, you could say.
Yeah, I don't think he was intentionally trying to lead the daughter down a bad road. It's just that's the life he was living. But it still makes sense from everyone's perspective of, hey, he might go to jail, so he's going to stop talking to her. Hey, my mom has been orchestrating and moving things around my life to not let me have what I want. I'm not going to talk to her. And the mom of, hey, my daughter's going down a down path. I have to try and stop her. So it's this thing of, you could say, oh, it's bad what the mom's doing, which it is, because in real life we do that without no tracking. But at the same time, if we had technology, that would be the case of many people. That would happen all the time. And it probably still does with people on Facebook.
100%.
I
think the other thing that comes up too is the idea of, okay, would this daughter have made these maybe not so good choices had she never had this thing installed in her?
Fair
and
enough.
Had she not, true. Because obviously at some point the mom decides to put the machine away and just lets her live her life as essentially is the same as a regular human being.
But that's by middle school.
Yeah, exactly. So it's okay, how have these decisions already impacted her life? And we don't really know. I guess I don't know the extent of what are all the things that she would get blocked by that.
It looked like everything, because remember, even just blood on her own finger it blocked.
Yeah.
Right? So it seems like
pretty severe,
sexual, drug-related violence is blocked. And it's the same thing when you point out. It feels like she's trying to compensate or catch up on stuff. So like even when they have
the kid is so young that she probably doesn't she obviously doesn't understand what things are like to not be like blurred out. Like, and then she thinks that's just like a way life is. That's how everyone experiences things.
Well, it's the same way when they have sex, and then he's like, well, you don't want to talk like a porn star, you know? But that's the only... Because she was blocked off from anything sexual in her life.
Yeah.
And then the one day the filter's off, the guy just shows her everything. This is a guy getting killed. This is... And that's where it's like, she kind of gets this overload of information, and she doesn't really know how to deal with it the rest of her life. She is still, I'd say, like a normal person, but she has these tendencies where...
Well, that's why she's, drawn to this guy who's probably, a little more off the cuff. Yeah. Because... That's something she didn't get to see any of the cuff. It's something she's never seen a cuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Something she was particularly deprived of. So and it's funny too. Maybe not funny, but interesting that they mentioned later how much of a failure that experiment was. Was that in Black Museum when they mentioned that?
No, it was.
I'm trying to remember now when it was stated that it never got through in Europe, and then they're taking it out.
It was the therapist when she was talking to her because the episode of her stabbing herself with the pencil, and he's like, "Well, most people aren't using this anymore. It's outlawed. Like it's." And then that's what he said. He said it's gonna be outlawed here. I think that was the other kind of suspend your disbelief was the fact that this tablet and the technology's still working. Yeah, you could charge it, but I feel like if it's like a video game, once those online servers go down, I don't think they would be working. So the fact that she could still see all that, for me, was a little bit of like, okay, like that's what I think this season for me, there was a couple of things that didn't feel as well thought out as Black Mirror usually does. Yeah. And I think the last thing I can say on this episode is this is an episode for me as an example of I think it ended too soon. I want to see... I don't know if I need to see them reunited, but I want to see the girl living longer, like maybe when she's older as a woman.
That could be
and having a daughter.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like not even a whole like another half an hour, just 5-10 minutes like that parallel. I wanted to see if she tried to go talk to this guy, because obviously maybe he just blew her off and she thought, oh, he doesn't really like me, but I thought she'd be smart enough to maybe put 2 and 2 together and they could run away together or something. And the episode just ends with she gets on a truck and her mom's screaming. And I think it's a perfect ending because it's trying to protect your daughter. You drove her away. Drove her away.
Yeah, and she's like potentially not in a safe place. We don't know who that guy is in that truck.
So at the end of the day, it is to me like a perfect ending, but I still wanted a little bit more on all those characters. I felt a little bit, that felt like a big cliffhanger, and it feels like, okay, next season we'll find more. And Black Mirror, there's never a next season, right?
They don't do that.
So yeah,
and even you could see more of like the mother's perspective and how she deals with this as someone who obviously she doesn't have her father. She didn't have a husband. She had like that boyfriend, I guess, but that was her only child as well.
From Jigsaw.
From he was familiar, but
he's the comedic guy in Jigsaw.
Right. Yes. I was trying to remember who he was.
I was watching and I was like, oh, this fucking guy. Like, here we go. Big twist coming.
You would think I would remember that because that guy triggered me a lot from that movie, right?
Anything else to say on Archangel?
The other detail I liked is like that, just that visual shot of whenever she would walk down the street and there was that dog that would bark at her. And blurred out, and eventually...
Dog lived for quite a while, too.
That dog did live for a while, and then eventually either the dog died or that... I guess
they moved.
There was a for sale sign.
Yeah. So he outlived.
Yeah, so I like that... I don't know, I like that little detail.
It was a good
I don't think it was necessary, but it was a... I guess it just made it feel like that character was truly living in this world or in this place.
I think it was needed, because it was a nice little touchstone to almost every time there was a change in the story of, okay, beginning she's scared of the dog, next time it's blurred, then when she's older she sees the dog again. So it's like, it felt like every time we were getting reset in the story, we went back to that dog scene to see where she was as a person. Because at the very end, before they move, she says hi to the dog, right? And she pets the dog, so it shows, okay, she is adapting to this world. She doesn't need a filter or anything like that. So I think it was a good thing to have in there. Yeah. So
I think this is the first, mother-daughter kind of episode of Black Mirror?
Well, I think it's kind of like what I said. I would imagine, because I don't think there's many episodes to do with kids to be like true. That, just parent relationship in general. Like I think most of them are relationships, social media, and then some of your bigger issues like war or something like that, right? Like there's not, I'd have to think, but I don't think there's many parent materials.
It was well done.
Yeah, I think there's stuff to farm there.
Good acting as well. Once again.
Yeah, everyone's good acting. Yeah. What do you want? I'll let you pick next, because I picked the first three. We got Hank DJ and U.S. Callister.
Let's do the U.S. Callister.
My second least favorite episode of the season.
Know. I didn't think about that enough, apparently.
When we review them, we gotta redo them because we know our rankings, but we never told the viewers. So we'll do it at the end. What our we kind of said, but it was like a Da Vinci Code. I really enjoyed this episode. This is to me like one of the other standout ones. Even though when we talked more about Archangel, I think it's a standout too. I actually enjoyed it more when I thought about it. But I
wasn't expecting to like this episode as much as I did.
This was the one I was actually the most excited for from previews because just when I saw the Star Trek like skin, I was like, okay, we're doing something kind of fun here. I'm a big fan of Jesse Plemons and Jimmy Simpson.
Jimmy Simpson's really good.
Yeah, Jesse. What do you know him from?
Breakout Kings.
Okay.
If you've ever heard of that show,
no.
It's some random show that had like 2 seasons, and it was probably not good. I was much younger when I watched it. But I just really liked it for some reason, and I was really sad when that show was canceled.
It's funny.
But he was in that show, and he was probably the best part of it.
Well, I was talking to Liam too. He's like, yeah, I love Jason. So now he's had this resurgence, but he was in Westworld last year. Great in Westworld. I saw him in this little ditty right here, Stephen King's Rose Red, a TV movie. I fucking love it. It's an alright movie, but I just love it. Yeah. He plays like this shit like asshole photographer guy, like kind of, but like same thing. I love James Simpson and Jesse Plemons. I love from saw him originally Breaking Bad. He played Todd.
What seasons was he in?
The last 2. He plays just awful piece of shit.
He looks familiar enough, but I can't remember when I stopped watching.
Yeah. So I was very excited for this episode, and to me it delivered because this was the most. I don't know where we're going with the episode continually. It starts with, okay, it's going to be a space theme episode. That's cool. And then, okay, it's a video game. And, okay, I'm going to feel really bad for this main character. Like, Jesse, was Dalton the character's name?
Oh, man, I don't know.
I'll look it up when you talk. But anyway, so the main game creator, it's like they paint him up to be a sympathetic guy. He meets this girl that he likes. Like, oh, okay, yeah, he's the man that has everything but has nothing type of story, right? It's like, okay, this is good. And then when you get in there, you find he's just like a really
creepy.
Yeah, creepy, shitty guy, which and at the beginning it makes sense because like, oh yeah, if I had a game where I could put people I dislike, yeah, sure. But it's like when you find out he's killing people's kids in front of him, it's like, okay, this takes us way beyond fantasy. And then you have these elements of them trying to escape to the mainframe and the blackmail. I just thought this was, to me, like a premiere Black Mirror episode. Reminds me of San Junipero last year, where every 10 minutes it shifts and you don't know where you are and you don't know what's going on, and your expectations are all over. And this to me had the best performance out of the whole series. Jesse Plemons as the guy was so good. He could go from charismatic to lonely to evil in a second. And I don't know if they would cast him because they look for that certain body type, but when I was watching it, I was like, I want him to be Dr. Doom. Like, he was just so chilling. Like, you would be cheering for him one moment, but the next you're like, I want them to fucking kill this guy. And he was phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of him already, but he's just
completely agree. Even at the end of the episode, I was still had sympathy for him to a certain extent, just because of how good he was.
Yeah,
he was unreal.
Yeah,
I'm really really excited with that. I don't know, that character in general. Mm-hmm. He definitely was the key part of that episode for me. Mm-hmm. And I think what that episode did really well is, obviously you have your 2 kind of worlds that you're hopping back and forth, and yeah, I was just stoked to get back to each one. Like, I just was so it's so cool to see the back and forth. And I kind of wanted maybe a bit more, actually, of the office aspect of it in the later.
Especially for me at the end, too, of, okay, they got that stuff out of his fridge. I didn't like the ending of him dying or being stuck in the game. I wanted him to go back into the world when it's like, all my stuff's gone, this and that.
Yeah, that's another story where you could have done more. I think it is a good ending.
Yeah,
but it's just just because I was so involved in the episode and the characters.
Because that's the thing, if he doesn't kind of die in this game, what is the perfect ending, right? And it's like, I want to see more of that stuff getting taken out, but at the end of the day, does that go away? Would he not die sitting there like that? So it's kind of like, that one to me, I give the biggest pass for, because it's like, oh, it works, but I still would want more. But yeah, because at one point in the middle of the episode, they really go away from the office stuff.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah, it's just all about the space cadets or whatever. And I can't remember the character's name, but I really like the one that played the main girl too. She was good. Yeah, she was really funny at times. The scene where she's trying to get him to swim with her is just so funny, and then she's just so over the top.
She's awkward too.
Yeah, but she's kind of being seductive at the same time, not seductress, seductive,
seductuous.
Yeah, she's somebody I've never seen her before, but I'm like, oh, she seems like she's very talented, and it goes from fun Star Trek episode with that monster to the next thing Jimmy Simpson talking about his kid getting killed, and it's really dramatic.
And all of those people on there just get drunk and forget everything and just accept this like imprisonment. And, it's quite.
Have no privates. I liked that. Just the classic Ken and Barbie. There,
that was funny.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. It's funny because I think we've talked like the least about this one out of some of them.
Well, I got more to say.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
go.
So a few because there's a lot of like little details in this episode. So one,
Kirsten Dunst is in this episode too.
Really?
She's apparently in the office somewhere because her and Jesse Plemons
as Mary Jane.
Yeah, her and Jesse Plemons are engaged and expecting a child. Actually.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Actually.
Oh, you mean like the actor?
Yeah, in real life.
Oh, okay,
yeah. And on this story,
I was like, I don't think he had a wife. Man.
And Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad plays Jesse. He's the voice at the end when he's like, "You guys got anything to trade?"
Oh, really?
Bitches. Yeah,
that's funny.
So
I didn't pick up on that in the episode.
No, I didn't see any of those. Those were all Twitter trivia, not IMDb trivia.
One thing I really liked is when they went in the Space Fleet simulation. They went down to that planet and they were kind of cruising around. And they're like fighting that guy,
the gym guy.
And I love when they pause it and he's just like, "Fuck, this thing is heavy," and he just like throws it down. And I love that dynamic that he could just like he would just turn people into these beasts, and they were just like, they were just people from the office that he hated. And the no face thing was like this terrifying idea because they would never die because they're in some simulation. They're just tortured forever.
Well, the pause thing was great because even when they go to pause and then they restart, everyone pulls out their guns, and the main girl doesn't have a gun. She's like looking around. Like, I liked the pause fact, and it made sense in a video game too. Like, oh, these AIs in a matter are still going, right? They're still moving and things like that. And I thought the actual way that they broke out was fun. About the blackmailing. Yeah. I didn't like how easy she got into his house or office, whatever that was.
Yeah, I don't know why his door was open.
Why was
it open? How she got there?
Like, and I don't believe for a second this guy would not have security cameras all over his stuff. Like doing
especially if he just zones out for hours every night.
He has a fridge beside him with a bunch of people's personal items with their names on them. That stuff, that didn't feel like smart black.
Even one more thing for me is when, like, he just gets their entire consciousness and experience by having like a small DNA from a cup. Yeah. Like that to me is like a Black Mirror thing where it's like that just seems wildly unrealistic. Like all these things, like for the most part, all these technologies, obviously they're many years out and beyond our what we can do right now. But they all seem like okay, that's actually possible. But I don't know if you'll ever be able to take someone's entire life experience by just like swabbing like their lip
with their memories and everything.
Yeah, like that to me just seemed a little over the top, but I don't know, I kind of just allow it because whatever.
The episode was good, right?
The episode was
you look
was
past
really good.
it,
Yeah, and I think once again, Black Mirror, like sometimes we'll just hop into, you just get introduced to these characters in the middle of it all, I guess. Yeah. And I think through the introduction of that Nanette character, obviously we just talked about how like good of an actress she was, but I think it was a perfect way to just segue into the story, how she is sympathetic towards him and just looks up to him as like this, really excellent coder who has a reputation, and then you get like inklings through other characters that he's maybe kind of a weird guy, but it's not because they know of like this really fucked up thing he does in this game. It's just like little things here or there.
He's off to himself.
I think that's why I wanted to see more of that office dynamic, because I kind of wanted to see those two in real life. Yeah. And maybe some reconnection, but that moment too where she gets the email and she asks him about it is like one of those things you're like on the edge of your seat, like, oh, this is not going to go well. Yeah. So that's I guess maybe where I wanted some more back and forth, but yeah, still like such an excellent idea for an episode, and they really nailed it. Like I'm not even a fan of Star Trek necessarily,
it felt like
just because I haven't watched it, but it's still like the visual style of it and like the cheesiness of it and the way he was like as captain, and they're all like, yes, we'll do that for you, Captain, and they just start hitting all the buttons. Just super well done. Yeah. Very happy with that episode.
I got nothing else to say, so should we move on to our final episode to talk about?
Burn the DJ.
Hang the DJ. In my opinion, the Sand Dune apparel of this season. And
big claims. By
I talked about it. It's nowhere near that level, but I think what this does, it's similar to the last two episodes, where I think we didn't talk about USS Callister. I think that is the themes of there's gaming, but it's more or less, I found more of like Facebook, where it's like all you need is someone's name. You go to Facebook, you find out their likes, their dislikes, you find out who they're friends with, if they have a boyfriend. That's what I kind of took from that DNA thing, where that I felt was kind of parallel to that. Yeah. And I felt that was really good. This is, to me, one of the best examples of like dating in this generation and the problems and why this idea, I don't think it would ever happen in our world, but it seems plausible, right? Of just how do you, because when I was saying, it was always like that thing of like, how do you date? You know, how do you, like everybody, but it's just like in this generation with technology and with, it's not in like the 60s or 70s where people wouldn't talk about dating or wouldn't talk about sex. Like, it was really risque. Like, we've talked about dating relationships to deaths. How many fucking, like, Julia Roberts, like, Richard Gere movies are out there now. Like, dating has been talked about from both perspectives to a T, and it's this thing of now you know what the other person, you have the cheat codes, you know what they might be thinking, you know, so that's the thing where this idea of, oh, you're going to go in here and meet somebody and you're going to keep going through this, like, a little minor spoiler, but in this world, you're going to keep going through these situations and it's just going to find out your percentile and what you like and what you dislike. This is like taking, like, Tinder to the ultimate degree, right? Instead of just putting your likes and dislikes in a category and then matching up, you're literally put with a person for an amount of time, whether it's 12 hours to 5 years. I thought the concept was great. And much like San Junipero, I think it's the chemistry of the two leads that really like strengthened and that made my favorite episode.
They're both like goofy and
and I think for me, like, it's a universal tale in most movies. When love stories or relationships are done well, that can be a huge crux in the movie, you know? And I think that shows with many movies. You look at Titanic. Titanic by itself is a fine boat-sinking movie. It's because everyone loves Jack and Rose together, right?
Yeah.
And when you have a relationship or a love story or romance in a movie or TV show that works, a Ross and Rachel, people cling to that. And I think that's why I like this in San Junipero, because it's a bit more hopeful, too. I like episodes like this. What else did we have this season? I'm trying to think how dark this season was. I guess it was pretty...
The kid dying.
Yeah, this whole season was pretty dark, but I think, like, much like last year, the reason this almost sticks out, too, is because San Junipero everything was so dark, but that had some light in the tunnel. This had that as well. I think there was a bit more happier... I guess that was the thing. Last year, there was less happy endings. This one, there was more happy endings overall, but this episode... overall felt just more light and fluffy, which was good, but it had a really strong backbone as far as the themes and the characters.
It's an interesting story as well, because I didn't really see the twist coming at the end, but there's still, like, throughout the whole time, there's, like, this maybe, like, ominous vibe that, like, what is this world that they live in? None of
they
these
keep
people...
hinting, too, like, the wall, and at first I joked, like, is this gonna be, like, Trump's America? Like, because they kept talking about the wall, and I was like, oh, man, like, and then they keep saying, like, oh, you wouldn't survive out there, so you didn't know what was really going on.
And you still, I mean, I guess it's all simulation, that kind of answers it. But it's interesting that it kind of keeps you guessing, because you don't, like, why don't these people have jobs, and what is this world that they live in, and is, like, money just not an object in this world?
Do they work?
But it still feels, like, possible. Like, this is something that, a technology that maybe, it's, like, reasonable, you know?
Yeah.
It's viable.
Well, and the thing was, too, is like, okay, how come they can't leave when they're like, oh, you have to do this? It's like, why do we have to do this? The thing that tipped me off, too, I didn't know the whole thing was going to be a simulation for us in the real world, like with a dating app. The thing that tipped me off that there was some virtuality, like Matrix stuff happening, is when she questioned, like, why can't we skip a rock less or more than 4 times? When she said that, I'm like, okay, something that's very much like the Matrix when they're like, oh, you know, have you ever had a deja vu?
Right.
Like, and they explain that. That's what tipped me off.
That didn't. I thought that was going to come back, but I didn't really think of it in that way. Yeah. I just thought there was going to be a moment when she throws her thing into some water and it skips 4 times.
Counts to 4.
That's the most. That's the most I thought of.
Yeah, no, that's what tipped me off, and I was like, okay, so because in other sci-fi stuff, there's always like repetition, right?
Well, that would come up for sure, because if you think about it, these characters, like, they never really have conversations about, like, what they're actually interested in. It's kind of just like
each other,
goofy things, or like at the restaurant what they're eating, or they're just having sex or something.
Yeah,
and they don't really go out and do things. So that scene in particular kind of sticks out, and even like. The guy, the male character, he's always just like on this hill that he's hiking on.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They do it in a smart way, I think, where, okay, this all could be bullshit, but at the same time, it's like, okay, maybe they are together for 5 years, but they're still living their lives, right? They have friends, they go to work, but when they come back, they're with this person, right? So it could make sense, and I think it was kind of like San Junipero, where you didn't know where it was going, and then the twist happens, and then for me, it's over. That's why it was San Junipero, for me, the twist, which I won't spoil, I'll spoil, you should have saw, but the twist of, okay, they're old and they have these memories, and then there was like another half hour, that to me is what put it over the top of. It was that where it's like, oh, that would have been a fun ending, but it was like, it really expanded on it. Where this, I don't think I needed more from this episode, but the way it ended with the simulations, it felt very abrupt. It was just like, oh, this happened. But I think it was smart. It was fun.
Yeah, I definitely went back, like, right after it was finished, I went back, like, 5 minutes and just watched the ending again. Just because I was like, I'm not ready to process the end of this episode.
Well, it happened so quick of, hey, you guys are being matched off. You get your one final day with somebody. They do that, and then they go, okay, we need to buck the system. And I like that the way that they get a positive score is, no matter what, whether it's through the system, whether it's them running away, just as long as they end up together, that goes to that 99.8%, right? So I like that of like, okay, it's not this doom and gloom of, oh, it's good. Because I thought it was going to be, okay, they're going to leave this area, it's going to be big escape and chase. Like, well, we've seen the forbidden love, like, run away from someone, right? Yeah. Where I like that the guy comes with a taser, she puts it down, and right when that happens, you have no idea what's happening anymore. It's all, like, people are frozen, they're not moving, so you have no idea. And I like that thing of they get in there and they see all their different versions, and it's just that they always, for the most part, for, 99.8% of the time, they're going to end up together. So that would be a good match for you over there. And I thought that was a fun take on, like, the dating scene, the apps and whatnot. Yeah,
just like, visually, like, the device and how they would always, like, check the timer, and it's like I guess it's kind of like San Junipero as well, where the one character, the male character wants to look at the timer and see what's on the clock, but the female character doesn't, and then obviously that's like a point of contention between them. And I don't know, I think it was really well done, and it's something that, like, that is so tempting, and I think it would be so common that if you decided with someone, okay, we're not going to look at the clock, like, I wonder what it'll be. Like,
well, and it makes sense for the time to go down continue, right? Because it's like, well, it's like in a relationship
where... And it just keeps going, yeah.
Yeah, it's like in a real-life relationship, if you told someone something and you lied to them, that puts little notches on the negative belt for the relationship, right? Of like, oh, well, they lied to me about this. That's where that does that, but it's in like a literal sense of, oh, you lied, so you're losing years with this person, and it's going down. And I guess I also got to say is, too, comedically, I liked it all, and we talked about them briefly, but I thought the leads were really good. I really liked both actors. I hope I see them in more stuff. They had great chemistry, and great in a way, too, that anytime they were with other people, you did feel like, ugh, like, these guys shouldn't be with these people. Like, they did.
I thought that character right after the female character, her second match with that guy, I love that, how he goes, so... And then he does that, like, after he's going down on her. I thought that was fucking hilarious.
And my favorite thing is the first night they're together, she does that, and he's like, what? And he's like, nothing. And then, like, she tries to tell him.
And they build it up, too. It's it's like if you're forced to be with someone and, like, something that small just, like, really bothers you.
Well,
and they're refusing to do any change about it. It's... Yeah, super well done.
Yeah, and even like the second match he had, they just hate each other
from the get-go
a whole year, and like that was great and everything. And I think that was a fun spin of them talking to the box before we knew it was like the simulation of, okay, when can I leave this? Because that was making your mind think the whole time, like, okay, what are the rules of this world? Like, what is going on? Like, what is outside the wall? And I think that was all great, and every stuff, like you did say, they didn't talk about personal stuff. But the situations were fun when she kind of accidentally kicks him this and that. Like, they did a really good job of making you want to root for them, which was a good idea. Because if that's the biggest thing I was thinking when I watched, I think it was their first scene together. I'm like, oh, these two have great chemistry. If they don't work, I don't think this episode works as well. I think the idea is a good idea, but the actors is what puts it over the top. Is, like, to me, my favorite episode of the season, because they have to click, and they have to make you feel like, oh, I want them to get back together, where if they didn't, it would just be like another episode, right?
I mean, a lot of it, too, because there's, like, a decent amount of this episode where they're not together, and you kind of, so you're like, developing that relationship, but they're not actually in a room together, and they're not talking, you're just getting it through, like, body language and facial expressions by them being with other people or doing other things, so... Yeah, definitely a testament to the actors, because it's not just about reading the script in this episode in particular, it's about what you're doing in between when those two characters aren't on screen together and they're still developing, which it's hard to do. Like, how do you really, like, viably do that? It's kind of hard to grasp, but they do it really well.
Anything else on Hang the DJ?
No, I don't think so. I like the ending. Yeah, ending's fun,
good
visually and all that.
And to me, that's a good ending where it's like, oh, they still have more story, but obviously it just seems like they'll end up together, right? And it's fun and whatnot. So
it's a good ending.
I guess last time we should rank ours official.
Well, I have one more thing to bring up from the Archangel episode.
Oh,
I just wanted to mention the Saw reference when the kid is showing her all the
hacks.
Yeah. Just because if you like Saw, we have a lot of Saw content on our channel. So. Had to show it.
I challenge anyone to find a podcast or YouTube channel that has more Saw content than us, and not in the sense of
not even SawFreaks.com. None of those people.
Not in the sense of someone has like a Saw YouTube channel and they post on the teasers or like a tease reaction. I mean, like we have hours. We have 2 hour, some of them like 2.5 hour reviews on these movies. So yeah, I like that. That was a good shout out.
And you know Adam, well, good old Adam. I love Adam.
Adam.
That's the guy he's chopping his.
Oh
his
right. What was I gonna say? And I also think if the Archangel exists, they should put a filter on the movie Jigsaw so people don't have to see it.
The entire thing, or they just blur it out like on like Netflix, so it's like, oh, I'm not gonna click on this. It just looks stupid.
Or they replace a certain character's face with Mark Hoffman's, and it just makes it better. You know?
True.
Oh yeah, this makes better. So I'll do my ranking from best to worst. I put Hang the DJ as my number 1, USS Callister as number 2, Black Museum as number 3, Archangel 4, Metalhead 5, Crocodile 6. My final thoughts on the season. I really enjoyed it. Like I said at the beginning, I'll be excited next year when we do this again and see more. I want content like this all the time, even episodes that maybe don't hit like Metalhead and Crocodile for me. They're still enjoyable. I may never watch them again, but I enjoyed watching them. They're good. The episodes, when they have high highs, they're hitting their strides.
Right,
Hang the DJ, US Callister. Even, like I said, Black Museum, Archangel ultimately have moments or situations or things that make me think that I think knock it out of the park or have some great moments as far as we're literally near the end of the year, but stuff that I'll remember that like override some of the other stuff this year. That would go in some of my best moments. You know, unfortunately some of these we don't do a TV Golden Geeks, but I would award
someday.
Yeah, maybe I would love to someday when we had the time. But there's many moments or episodes that I would want to nominate or award for.
100%.
So yeah, I really enjoyed the season. And if I ranked it, I'd give it a 8.5.
8.5.
8.5. Can't give it A because those 2 episodes for me.
Yeah.
Not A worthy, but you know. Yeah.
As for myself, let's see. I'll put USS Callister first, followed by Burn/Hang the DJ. Number 3, I think I'd put Archangel. Number 3. Number 4, I'm split because you definitely talked me up on Black Museum, but I don't know if it quite sneaks into the 4 spot.
Yeah, no,
because I think I'd have to watch it again for it to get there, but I think it could. So I'll put Crocodile 4, and then Black Museum 5, and then I'll put.
Oh, switch! You changed Metalhead. So see, now if the ratings go by, well, I have 3 out of 2 instead. So I have 3 instead of 2. So not too bad.
Not bad.
Because of Metalhead, that was the least we had to say because there's not much to say.
Yeah, like
it
looks nice, but it's just that it's like, is this really Black Mirror? No.
That episode to me is all brains, no bronze.
Sure.
No other way around. All bronze, no bronze.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just totally went along with it because I knew what you were trying to say.
Yeah, like looks great, but you don't want to take.
Doesn't look that good. Like I'd rather go watch
Oh
Logan Noir this.
Yeah,
Mad Max Noir. Have you seen that yet? Is it good?
Yes.
Nice.
And Mad Max Noir.
Mad Max Noir. That could be cool.
Yeah, it exists.
Those
black
Sandy
and
movies.
Chrome condition.
Black and Chrome.
That's what it's
condition, called. Did you say? I think you meant edition, but I think you said condition. That would be quite the condition.
Yikes.
Quite the condition. Yeah.
Any final thoughts of the season or no? Say anything you need
to? I'm not much of a ranking guy. Plus, it's kind of hard for me. I don't know if I'd rank this anyway, even if I did do rankings, because it's just kind of weird. How do you rank a show that has like 6 episodes that are just standalones? I don't know. Kind of hard to do.
The overall package. It's like if you go to a buffet, right? How do you rank that? It's like, well, the overall buffet does most of the food I like. That's why Grand 8 in Kelowna, it's like a 10 out of 10.
Well,
there's a
my closing thought then is I really enjoyed the season, and I would watch probably 4 if not 5 of these episodes again.
Wow. I think you won't watch Crocodile again.
Maybe
you say that, but you'll watch it, you'll start it, and you're like...
It's like an hour.
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty long. Yeah, I think you'd start it, and then you're like, I'll skip this one.
I'll have it on one screen, and then I'll have...
It? Like the movie
Crocodile. And then Metalhead on another screen. I'll watch them both at the same time.
That could be quite the Dell feature. Which It do you have on the screen? The Stephen King TV series or the movie?
Well, I don't think that's much of contention if you heard me talk about the original It, which I'm not a fan of.
Check out our It review. Anyways, still, you want to play the roles to the field quickly and let's get out here and boogie off into the new year.
Boogie off in the new year. Yeah, you can check us out on Facebook. Facebook's a good place to go. You get all sorts of updates on what's popping, and you also get just like fun news things because we try to post things on there. So that's
we try. We're very.
You hop onto Facebook. We're Geek First Podcast. Pretty simple to find us on Twitter, Geekverse Cast. Everywhere else, Geekverse Podcasts, such as other places.
Most importantly, I'd say geekverspodcast.com because you can find everything
It's our own website.
there.
That's cool.
Got our own website. You can subscribe at our podcast versions, whether that's SoundCloud, iTunes, all. If we're not on them, you let us know and we'll get it there. Most importantly, I guess for video would be YouTube or sometimes on Twitch. Twitch will someday come back once we have the technology.
Yeah.
And that's why you maybe go to Patreon to support us. You like what we do here? Do you want to watch us live on Twitch? Well, support us and help us out because that's how we would get there. But at Patreon, you get tons of stuff early. You could be watching that Cantina episode that me and Taylor did right now if you support us. You could be watching some of our Marvel retrospectives. We have a dollar amount. We have a $5 amount. $1 gets you half. $5 gives you everything. With Gauntlet, you want to be staying in because there's going to be some quite good matches, some good announcements coming up. There'll be lots of good stuff coming up in 2018. We're very excited. So
good year.
Yeah, thank you very much for tuning into this. We'll see you in 2018, and I promise you, it will not be boring.
Later.
No, not later, nerds.
No, that's
steal
Tyler's.
from breaks. You've stolen it a few times.
Yeah, right.